Scrappy peeps, Suzanna here today to share with you round 3 of 6 degrees of scraplifting. This is the layout that Christy sent me on the left, and the right is my interpretation of that layout. So Christy started, and she started the chain with this and then sent hers to me, and this is what I created, and then I sent mine off to another crafter. There were 6 of us, just as there have been in the past, and I was the second to go. So I chose this collection from Fancy Pants to work with, and I wanted a multicolored background for that left and top right corner, and they were going to be the foundation colors for my layout. And so I trimmed down my white cardstock to put over that, and I do use the whole collection, and I don't really supplement it with much of anything else, so it was easy for me to match colors because it was all done for me already. I chose to trim this down so that I could save the rest of that paper for something else, as this is the only piece I had of that collection, and I had plenty of the collection to continue to work with. So I just squared this off. I laid it over another piece of 12 by 12 paper, which just allowed me to match up the edges perfectly, so that I recreated another 12 by 12 piece of paper. And actually it didn't work originally the first way for me, so I just laid it and did it backwards, and that was perfect there. So that is the foundation of the page, just as Christy has done with hers. And then she had a piece of pattern paper on the left hand side that then sort of divided the layout into a right and a left. So I went ahead and looked for a piece of paper that was sort of solid in color and would complement the picture and pull the picture up, and I went with that aqua color with the little white hearts in it. And what you won't see is that I'm going to go upstairs because my sewing machine is upstairs. Those of you who have followed my videos for a while will know that. And I went and sewed around the outer edges of the layout, and I just used some artist tape there to secure down the thread, apply some adhesive, and stick that on there. I believe Christy had also sewn on the outside edges of her layout, and keep a small thin white border along the left edge and the top edge, just as Christy had done there. I used my 2-inch circle punch to punch a bunch of circles. Christy had 5 circles on her layout, and so I looked for 5 different pattern papers that would do a similar thing to what Christy had done. And I started out with these 5. I'm going to get my 5th one in a second, and I decided to use a cut apart card that big and there, because I thought that it was fun the way that it sort of gave me the title for my layout, or a subtitle really. And then I sort of shifted around to find a color scheme that would move the weights of the colors of the circles down the page. Christy had a stamp, I think it was, that she stamped around the outer edges of some of those circles. I didn't have anything in this collection that worked along those lines for me, and so I just decided to put some embellishments. And so I now have the ephemera pack from this collection and am just decorating these circles. Christy had also used a pen to go outside the outline of each of the circles, and once I decide where the elements that I want to use are going to go, I decided to do the same thing, and I like the way that it made the circles sort of stand out a little bit. So I was just looking for ephemera pieces that complemented the theme here. This is a picture of my sister and myself. My sister lives 2 2.5 miles up the road, up 95, and it is not often that I get to see her. I happen to be in her neck of the woods for a swim meet that my daughter was at, and so my sister was kind enough to volunteer to meet me halfway, and we had a delicious dinner together. It was actually a really nice evening. So this is just a picture of the two of us having some girls' time together. So continue to shuffle through the ephemera and just see what my options are and try different pieces. Christy had one of the circles off the edge of the page, and I did that same thing. As this is a scrap lift, the idea is to do as much of the person before you's layout as you can, but make it work for you. So that's what I did. She had a few littler bits and pieces scattered throughout the layout, and so I did the same with some sequins and some of the puppy stickers. So this is where I find a pen color that will coordinate, and I wanted Christy to use black. Black is not really a color in this collection, and so I used the navy that worked nicely as a coordinating color for this. So after I adhere down each circle, I'm going to outline it with the navy blue pen and then stick down the ephemera that I had chosen. I did back my picture with foam. I'm not sure whether Christy had done that or not. When what you see is a picture of a layout, it's sometimes hard to pick out the elements that people had used in their creations. But I liked the way that the foam just popped the picture up off the circle and allowed me to tuck in some gold thread behind some of the elements just for a little added dimension to the page. I love how that speech bubble comes out of my sister's head and just says where we are. One of the features of the restaurant that we went to, it was called the Victoria Gastropub, is duck fat fries. It's why she wanted to go there. And so at the bottom of the speech bubble, it says, "Bring on the fries." They were quite delicious, but I'll tell you, they were definitely quite fattening. I love the gold elements in this collection, and it was perfect for the golden light that was coming through the window as the sun was setting as we took this picture. And so the gold thread is also a nice complement to that in the collection as well. I believe Christy had used in her layout 2 pictures, but she did put them virtually side by side, so I used just 1 picture in place of what she used. But other than that, I did pretty much what Christy did. Same number of circles, the divided layout, the frame just to the left and the top. Drew around the circles. So there is just a little bit of a additional subtitle, and in a minute I am going to continue to lay down some more of these circles and draw with a pen around the outside. The hardest part was really coordinating the colors to the layout. I love the way that Christy's circles move across the page, and I tried to create that same effect as she had with hers. Again, using some craft foam to just pop up some of the elements off the page, and I have to remember that when I want to put things on top of it, that they also need a little bit of popping just off of the corners. One more circle to go. Actually, that's not true. I still have the one with the stars. And so I really liked the flowers on the circle that is to the bottom right of the picture, but I wanted to journal just as Christy had journaled in her circles. I needed to journal, and the journaling didn't look nice on top of the flowers, so what I did was I wrote on vellum and then just attached that vellum on top of the flowers there. And drawing between each of the stars there, and then I'll have to trim off the edge of the circle as it goes off the edge of the page there. And I just use my X-Acto for that so that I get a nice crisp line in line with the edge of the picture there. So there are all of the embellishment layers minus the journaling that I will put on vellum onto those circles. And it's time to do the title work now. So in Christy's layout, she had put the bulk of her title really along the edge of that picture. But I really struggled with a title that was going to work for me. It was going to say Girls' Night and Out, but the balance of Girls' Night Out didn't work. I needed a long word, a short word, and a long word. So you can see where I am pulling the letters for Girls' Night Out, and in a minute I'm going to change my mind because it really doesn't, the weight of the letters doesn't work across the edge of the picture there. It needed something else. So there's out, and you can see how out is really disproportional to girls. And I'm not sure what I was thinking when I moved girls. I think I was going to do night. Actually, I'm not sure. It's a mystery. Oh, then I was going to do Just Us Girls. Growing up, we frequently talked about Just Us Girls, but the us wasn't wide enough, you will see here, to fit, and it looked rather out of proportion. So I had to fix the title. No, you see, doesn't look good at all. So I changed it to Just the Girls because it was just the girls. My sister has 2 boys, and she left them at home along with her husband to come out with me, and so the title Just the Girls was perfect. So I'm just going to put a couple of, I like the 2 hearts on either side because that evens out the space between just and the and girls, and a few more embellishments just to add a little bit more interest and color to those white spaces. And I used some Spiegelmom scrap sequins to fill in those spaces. And then shortly coming up are some close-ups. Be sure to come back tomorrow and see who I passed my layoff off to and how the rest of the scrap lifting chain happens over the rest of the week. Thanks for stopping in today.